cactus and succulent growers, it's Lynn, and in today's video, just a bit of a quick video potting up the Pereskiopsis cuttings that I have taken and I've successfully rooted in water. Now, Pereskiopsis are one of the cacti that they're like a tropical cactus, and they're one of the very few that you can actually root in water and do well by cuttings in water, other than epiphytic type of cacti. These are not epiphytic cacti, but they are more tropical than the other types of cacti, and as you can see, they've rooted very well in the water. And Pereskiopsis, you often see them as grafting plants. A lot of people use them as grafting plants to graft speciality type of cacti on, and they're sort of known more for using for grafting than they are actually as an ornamental cactus. I just like them because they're leafy, and I think they're a little bit unusual. And I have made a complete video on Pereskiopsis, all about Pereskiopsis cacti, and also how to care for it and information about this particular cactus. So if you're new to Pereskiopsis and think, gosh, these look weird, cacti with leaves, and you want to know a bit more about them, always nice and unusual to add to a collection, then do go out and watch that video. I'll link that video up above and down below in the video description, and I go into a lot more information on there on Pereskiopsis, bit of info all about them and also how to care for them as well. This is just a repotting video, and I've also made a video on how to root Pereskiopsis in water. I think I called it Pereskiopsis rooting in water experiment results, I'm not sure, but I'll also link that video up above and down below in the video description. So here we go. These have successfully rooted. I've had them in water about a month, and they root pretty fast, I have to say. Had them in my grow room, a little bit of shade, and you can just see them gorgeous roots. And rather than pot them all up individually, they're quite fast growing, and I'm going to put them all into the one pot here. I've cleaned this pot out so it's all nice and clean. Got a little label, Pereskiopsis, and I've made up the soil as well. Now, the soil mix I like to use, it's always well draining, and that's the most important when you're potting up cacti and succulents. I like to make my own cactus soil because it's much more economical, and I like to know what goes in it. In this case, I've used John Innes loam mixed with horticultural grit. I've thrown a bit of pumice in as well and some sharp sand. And if you want to know how an easy all-round how to make cactus and succulent recipe, do check out a video I've made on how to make cactus and succulent soil in 3 easy steps. I'll link that video up above and down below in the video description. Most important thing is that you use a very well draining cactus soil that dries out quickly, so they're not sitting in wet soil and the roots don't rot. Say hello to the viewers, Lucy. Now, Pereskiopsis are different to a lot of the desert types of cacti, and they can, normally I wouldn't go into such a big pot to pot these up, but they're very fast growing, and I know that if I put it into a pot like this, these are going to grow very fast. They can grow quite a few inches in one season. So here, as I say, potting them all together. This has just been rooting in water, and you can already see all the new growth coming on this already. So I'm going to spread them about here, and I'm going to put another one here, roughly so they're not all. Make sure I leave a gap in between each one because I'm putting them all in the same pot. And look at the lovely roots on that, guys. Absolutely gorge. And this one here. Lovely to see the lovely leaves on these. I think these cacti are just awesome, I have to say. They're not everybody's favourite. They're a certain type, but I like them. And then I'm going to make sure I put the soil all around here. And these definitely cannot take cold, so I have to overwinter these Pereskiopsis in my grow room because they need a minimum of about 10 Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter time. They're not cold hardy plants at all, and unlike desert cacti, as I mentioned, they are tropical, so they do still need to be lightly watered throughout the winter. I do keep them mostly on the dry side, but when I do see them, the leaves sort of shrivel in and they'll drop leaves. Now, they're not going to die if you don't water them over the winter time. They will not die. They will just drop all their leaves, and then they'll sort of come back again once you start to water them in the springtime. But I sort of like to see the leaves on. They do better. They don't do so well if I keep them totally dry over the winter. And as I say, they are tropical, so they need winter warmth. But as I say, I mentioned all that in that care video on how to care for these Pereskiopsis. There we go, very easy to repot. And yes, I know I'm not wearing gloves, I never do. But these Pereskiopsis, actually, they do have glow kids, and if you touch them, they do come off in your hand. So they can be very irritating. So I do recommend that you protect your hands with either sheets of newspaper or something you can protect with. You've got some very good gloves, with some very good gloves. But I'm just used to handling cacti, and I'm completely weird because I just love handling cacti. I must have leather hands by now. People often say to me, Lynn, how on earth do you repot without gloves? But it's just something I like to do, and I don't mind. I'm not scared of a bit of pain. I just like to feel the cactus and feel the soil and everything. I just love it. But do protect your hands, obviously, if you're new to handling cacti or you happen to be potting up extremely spiny plants. There we go, easy peasy. Like to tap as well, and just gently press in. Just use one of these little dabbers to make sure it's all down. Press in. So nice and firm. As I say, these are already rooted, so, and these are probably also one of the few cacti. I think it's pretty safe with these type of cacti. If I was to go ahead and just give it a bit of water, they've been rooted in water anyway, but I'm still going to be on the safe side and keep these dry just for a few days before I give them a bit of water. But Pereskiopsis are they're pretty tough plants. They're certainly totally different care to desert cacti, where I wouldn't give a scrap of water for at least 10 days to 2 weeks. Very different with these, but I'm still going to keep them a little bit dry for a few days anyway. And then just to finish off the label, I say do check out the info on these. I've made a video, as I mentioned. They're quite unique, I think. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And before you go, massive favour to ask you, if you could leave a comment in the video description down below, even if it's just a heart or a smiley, because every comment on my YouTube videos really does help the algorithm and helps my channel to get more noticed here on YouTube. And if you haven't done already, then don't forget to subscribe. Please give this video a like. Click the notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new videos. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook at Desert Plants of Avalon. And for more growing tips on many different types of cacti and succulents, then as well as subscribe, do go and check my website out, desertplantsofavalon.com. I want to wish you all a fantastic plant-powered day. Bye.